I used to believe that secrets kept in silence would disappear like smoke. That if you bury the truth deep enough, it can't breathe, can't rise. But I was wrong. Very wrong. My name is Chikamso, and there was a time I thought I knew what love was. I believed love meant hiding what hurt, protecting those you care about, given from the truth. I was 16, innocent and naive. I thought if I closed my eyes tightly enough, the world would shape itself around my dreams. Those mistakes could vanish if you simply didn't talk about them. But what do you do when the very thing you're hiding begins to grow inside your belly? What do you do when the person who swore he'd never leave you suddenly stops answering your calls? And what do you do when your parents, your whole community, look at you every day with pride in their eyes, thinking you're still their perfect daughter? I was drowning in fear. Fear of shame. Fear of being abandoned. But mostly, fear that I wasn't enough. That I wouldn't survive the storm I had created. This is not just a story of a girl who got pregnant. It's the story of what came after. The lies. The escape. The return. And how one single truth changed all of our lives forever. That night, I couldn't sleep. The crickets were singing, the breeze was soft, and the moon hung heavy, like it was watching me. I lay on my thin mattress, my hands over my belly, counting the days. 5 weeks late. I knew what it meant. But knowing didn't make it less terrifying. I had just turned 16. I was supposed to be preparing for WAC, not worrying about morning sickness. But I couldn't think of exams. I could only think of Obina, the boy with kind eyes who had promised to marry me one day. We had made mistakes, and now I was the one carrying the consequence. I told him 3 days ago. He didn't shout. He didn't curse. He just went silent. Then he left. And didn't come back. My heart burned like firewood. I still believed he would return. That love could not be abandoned like that. But each hour he stayed away, the cold grew inside me. My parents were in the next room. Mama had just prayed for me. Chikamso will make us proud, she said. She will be our shining light. But what kind of light grows in darkness? I wrapped my arms around my stomach and cried quietly. Even the moon turned away. Silence can be louder than a scream. Have you ever feared the truth so much that you tried to erase it by pretending it wasn't there? The days passed slowly, like a clock with a broken hand. I avoided my mother's eyes. My father was always at the farm, but when he came home, he would pat my head and say, "My daughter, I know you'll make us proud." Each word felt like a knife. I wore big clothes, drank hot bitter leaf water, and prayed that somehow it would all go away. I even thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe I wasn't pregnant. Maybe it was stress. But then, every morning I'd wake with nausea twisting my stomach. And I knew. One night, I overheard them. "I saw blood in her bucket," my mother said. "It means she's still clean. She's still focused." My father chuckled. "I know Chikamso. She's not like other girls." I covered my mouth so they wouldn't hear me crying. I wasn't clean. I wasn't focused. I was scared. And worst of all, I had no one. Obina still hadn't returned. My texts went unanswered. My calls ignored. I wanted to tell my mother. I did. But each time I imagined her face, I swallowed the words. What mother wants to hear that her daughter has become the thing she warns her about? So I made a choice. I would leave the town. Carrying a secret alone can break the strongest back. Have you ever felt so ashamed that you'd rather run than face someone who loves you? It was still dark when I slipped out. The cock hadn't even crowded. I folded a note and placed it under my mother's pillow. My hand shook as I wrote, "I'm sorry. I traveled, I need to go find myself." No mention of the baby. No mention of shame. Just silence wrapped in ink. I wore 2 dresses, layered to hide my belly. I tucked 3,200 Nigerian nairas into my bra, my entire savings from helping my mother sell vegetables. With that, I walked out of the only home I had ever known. The bus park was already waking. Drivers shouted destinations like warriors calling for battle. I chose the loudest voice, Lagos. Lagos. The city of second chances. Or so I believed. I boarded, heart pounding. The bus was old and dusty. I squeezed between a tired mother and a snoring trader. Nobody looked at me twice. That comforted me. As the bus roared to life, I stared out the window. Trees blurred past like ghosts. At that moment, I felt something move inside me. A flutter. A small kick. The baby. A reminder. I wasn't alone. But I was more afraid than ever. You can run from people, but not from what grows inside you. Have you ever chased freedom only to find fear waiting on the other side? Lagos was not what I expected. I thought it would smell like an opportunity. Instead, it smelled like sweat, smoke, and dust. The moment I stepped down from the bus, my body tightened. So many people. So many eyes. But not one of them looked at me with kindness. I held my bag close and walked. I didn't know where I was going, just that I needed to keep moving. I asked a woman selling bread where I could find cheap lodging. She hissed and looked away. The second woman stared at my belly and said, "You dey find where to born or where to die." I walked faster. By nightfall, my legs ached, and my throat burned with thirst. My last money was gone, used to buy pure water and a piece of dry bread. The sky turned black, and I had no place to sleep. I sat near a kiosk, but the owner chased me away. Then it happened. A man followed me. Another joined. I heard laughter behind me. My heart raced. I ran. Ran until my slippers tore, and I stumbled into an abandoned building. I stayed there, shaking, clutching my belly. That night, I slept on broken tiles. And cried until morning. A city does not hold your heart just because you arrived with hope. What does it mean to be lost in a place where no one even sees you? Morning came with the sound of sweeping brooms and shouting bus conductors. I stood up slowly from the floor of that abandoned building, my back sore and my feet blistered. My stomach grumbled. My baby kicked. I had nothing to eat. I walked to the roadside and sat under a tree. I watched people pass, some laughing, some yelling, most not noticing me at all. At first, I was too ashamed to ask for help. But when my vision blurred and my lips dried out, I swallowed pride and stretched out my hand. "Please, auntie, anything." Some ignored me. Others whispered, "A lazy girl. Pregnant at her age." I cried but kept begging. By evening, a kind woman selling food by the gutter roadside called me. "Wash plate," she said. "And get some food." I washed her greasy plates with trembling hands. She gave me rice and stew, my first real meal in 2 days. I ate fast, like someone stealing food. She watched me and asked, "Where are your people?" I looked down and whispered, "They don't know where I am." She sighed. "The streets don't love anybody. Be careful, small girl." That night, I returned to the abandoned building, full but still afraid. At least, my baby had eaten. Hunger doesn't care about dignity, and sometimes, survival begins where pride ends. Have you ever been so desperate that even shame became a luxury? The rain started before midnight. Thunder growled like a wounded beast, and lightning flashed through the broken windows of the building I now called home. I curled up in a corner, hugging my knees, whispering to my belly, "We'll be okay, my child. Just hold on." But the pain came suddenly. Sharp. Deep. Like a hand twisting inside me. At first, I thought it would pass. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep. But the pain grew louder than the storm outside. My back felt like it was breaking, and something warm trickled down my thighs. I looked. Blood. I screamed. But no one heard. There was no nurse. No mother. No midwife. Just me and God. I used my wrapper to catch the blood, crouching, sweating, crying. My body shook as another wave of pain tore through me. I bit my lip, tasting blood. My baby was coming, and there was no stopping it. It felt like death. And then, life. A tiny cry pierced the silence. Weak, but real. I stared at the wrinkled little body in my hands. My baby. My son. Tears flowed freely. He was here. But I had nothing, no clothes, no money, no help. Just love. And fear. Sometimes, the strongest love is born in the darkest hour. If love is enough, why does survival still feel so uncertain? My baby was wrapped in an old scarf I'd found in the building weeks ago. I called him Chimdi. He was so small, his fingers like tiny threads. I held him close, even though my arms were weak. We stayed in that abandoned place for days. I begged during the day, washed clothes for small money, and prayed he wouldn't get sick. But each night, as I rocked him to sleep, my heart broke a little more. Chimdi deserved more. One morning, I stood outside a big compound in Lekki. The gate was tall, painted gold. I had passed it many times, watching the security guard open and close it for cars that looked like spaceships. The house belonged to rich people. I didn't know their names, but I saw how gently they carried their dogs, how the woman kissed the air when she spoke. They looked like they had everything I didn't. And so, I did what I never thought I could. I kissed Chimdi's forehead. Whispered, "I'm sorry. Be better than me." Then I placed him at their gate, wrapped in the scarf, with a note, "Please, take care of him. His name is Chimdi." And I walked away. Tears blurred my path. Loving someone sometimes means letting them go, for their sake, not yours. Could you give up the one thing you love most, to give them a better life? I couldn't stay far. Every day, I returned to that street, hiding behind shops, watching the mansion from across the road. And then, one morning, I saw them. A man in a fine suit carried Chimdi in his arms, rocking him gently. The woman, his wife, was crying. But not out of sadness. Joy. She held the note I had written close to her chest like it was a sacred gift. They took him in. They named him Chuka. My heart broke and healed at the same time. Months passed. I found a job washing in a food joint. I saved all the money I could. Then, one day, as if God himself heard my prayers, I saw a notice pinned on a gate near the mansion. Nanny wanted, must love children. Experience preferred. My hands trembled as I tore it down. The woman, Mrs. Agata, interviewed me. She asked many questions. I lied about my name. Told her I was an orphan. She stared hard, then smiled. You look like someone who knows how to love. She didn't know how true that was. She hired me. And just like that, I returned to my son's life. As his nanny. Not his mother. The truth may hide in silence, but love always finds a way to speak. Could you watch your child grow, knowing he might never know who you truly are? Every morning, I dressed in simple clothes and walked into that big house with a heavy heart. Chuka, my son, didn't know me as his mother. To him, I was just Juliana, the kind nanny who wiped his tears and fixed his hair. But inside me, a fire burned. I watched him grow, his first steps, his first words, his laughter like music. He clung to me like a lifeline, and I became his shelter from the cold world. Sometimes, Mrs. Agatha would glance at us with a strange look. "You're very close," she once said softly. I smiled but said nothing. At night, when the house was silent, I cried. Not because I missed him, but because I was living a lie. Chuka's father, the rich man, Mr. Emeka, never asked about me. I didn't want to tell them the truth. What if they took him away? My love was a secret garden, hidden behind a fence of fear and silence. Years passed, and the bond between Chuka and me grew stronger. But the walls around my secret began to crack. Love kept silent is love imprisoned. How long can a secret love survive before it demands to be set free? One afternoon, I watched Chuka carefully place a delicate glass ornament on the shelf. His hands trembled slightly, he was always careful, always trying to please. But then, his elbow bumped the table, and the glass fell, shattering into tiny pieces on the floor. I held my breath. Mrs. Agatha stormed in, eyes blazing. "How could you be so careless, Chuka?" she snapped. "Look at this mess. You're always causing trouble." Tears welled up in his eyes. He tried to explain, but her anger only grew louder. I rushed forward, kneeling beside him, soothing his trembling hands. "It's okay, Chuka. Accidents happen." He looked at me, voice barely a whisper, I wish you were my mother." Those words pierced my soul like a dagger. I wanted to scream, to hold him tight, and tell him everything. But I only hugged him closer, my heart breaking in silence. That night, I lay awake, haunted by his pain and my own secrets. Sometimes, the deepest wounds are invisible to the world. Have you ever longed to tell someone the truth but feared it might change everything? Chuka's school reports came back. His grades, once bright, had begun to slip. Teachers whispered during parent meetings, though Mr. Emeka and Mrs. Agatha never seemed to notice or care deeply. But I saw the truth behind his forced smiles. One evening, as I helped him with homework, he suddenly stopped and said, "Juliana, I feel like I have to be perfect all the time. If I'm not, they get angry. I'm scared of disappointing them." My heart clenched. I wanted to tell him he was enough, just as he was. Instead, I held his hands tightly, whispering, "You are loved, Chuka. Always." He looked at me with tears glistening. I wondered how long a child could carry such a burden alone. And how long a mother could keep silent while watching. Sometimes, the heaviest burdens are carried in silence. How can we help those who hide their pain behind smiles? Despite the weight on his shoulders, I saw a flicker of light in Chuka's eyes. Slowly, he began to believe in himself again. Every night, I sat with him, encouraging his dreams and wiping away doubts. "Your story isn't written yet," I told him once. "You can be anything you want." He smiled, a small, hopeful smile. Mrs. Agatha noticed the change too. "You're good for him," she said quietly one afternoon. I nodded but kept my silence. Still, the secret weighed on me like a shadow. One day, I decided I couldn't hide forever. I would tell him the truth. But when that day came, fear gripped me. What if he hated me? What if I lost him forever? For now, I held on to hope. The hope that love would guide us through. Hope can grow even in the darkest soil. When is the right time to share your truth with those you love? The day I told Chuka everything is forever etched in my mind. We sat under the mango tree at the edge of the garden. The sun was setting, painting the sky with colors of fire and hope. My voice trembled as I said, "Chuka, I am not just your nanny. I am your mother. His eyes widened. For a moment, silence swallowed us both. Then tears streamed down his cheeks. Why did you leave me? I choked back my own tears. I wanted to give you a better life. I was scared. I thought I wasn't strong enough. He reached for my hand. I love you. But the world outside was not ready for our secret. Mrs. Agatha and Mr. Emeka had. They denied it. Called me a liar. Fired me. I was alone again. But Chuka stood by me. Love, even when truth hurts, can be stronger than fear. Truth can break you, but it can also set you free. When faced with rejection, where do you find your strength? I refused to give up. With Chuka by my side, I sought help from a kind lawyer named Barrister Okoye. He believed in our story, in a mother's love. We went to court. The battle was painful. Mr. Emeka and Mrs. Agatha hired doctors who lied, saying Chuka was not mine. Lies spread like wildfire. But my heart knew the truth. The judge ordered a DNA test at a trusted lab. Waiting for results felt like a lifetime. My nights were sleepless, my prayers endless. When the truth came back, I was his mother. The court gave me custody. Tears of relief and joy flooded me. But the fight was not over. Mrs. Agatha's smile faded. Behind closed doors, I heard whispers of revenge. They didn't want me to win. Justice may be delayed, but a mother's love never wavers. How far would you go to protect the ones you love? I should have felt relief after winning custody, but fear grew like a shadow in my heart. Mrs. Agatha, once so polite, now wore a cold smile that chilled me to the bone. One evening, I overheard a whispered phone call. Her voice was sharp, full of venom. If I cannot have Chuka, no one will. My blood ran cold. I told Barrister Okoye, but he warned me, be careful, Chikamso. They play dangerous games. I began watching every corner, every shadow. My mind raced with fears of what if she really meant it. The thought of losing Chuka again was unbearable. But I knew I had to be strong. For him. For us. Because love can light a path even in the darkest night. Darkness may threaten, but courage can protect love's light. When faced with danger, how do you find the strength to fight on? Chuka was preparing to leave for Imo State to live with Mr. James, a trusted friend of his teacher. I hugged him tightly, giving him advice on humility and respect, words I hoped would guide him in the new world. But that journey became a nightmare. At the motor park, the bus he boarded was suddenly ambushed by armed men. Screams filled the air as they singled out Chuka, gagged him, and dragged him into the dark forest. I was frantic. No call. No word. I raced to the motor park, hearing whispers that the kidnappers knew exactly who they wanted. My knees shook as I prayed for a miracle. The world turned upside down. And I realized that the fight to keep my son was far from over. Sometimes, the greatest battles happen when we feel most powerless. When everything seems lost, where do you find hope? Days passed in a haze of fear. Then came a call that shocked me to my core. The gang leader, Obina, was on the line. He told me to listen carefully. I know Chuka, he said quietly. He is my son. I didn't know until now. My heart pounded. The man who kidnapped my son was his father. Obina explained he had left me long ago, tangled in a life of crime. Now, seeing Chuka, he saw a chance for redemption. He promised to fake Chuka's death to keep him safe from Mrs. Agatha's wrath. When Obina brought Chuka home safely, I felt a storm of anger and relief. Could I forgive him? Could we rebuild a broken family? Forgiveness can heal even the deepest wounds. Can you find the courage to forgive those who have hurt you? Years passed like seasons. Chuka left for America and faced new battles. He struggled at first, alone in a strange land, but he carried our voices in his heart. Mine. Obina's. Even Mr. James, who welcomed him like his own. I sent long letters filled with prayers. Obina, now a changed man, started working as a carpenter, quietly, humbly, just to stay clean. He never missed a call, never broke another promise. And then, Chuka made it. He graduated top of his class, a doctor. When he returned to Nigeria, the whole village gathered. Drums. Tears. Smiles. Even the sky seemed to rejoice. He hugged me tight and whispered, "Everything I am, I owe to your love." But life had one more test. Sarah, Mrs. Agata, fell ill. A rare blood condition. And the only match? Chuka. Everyone waited for him to walk away. Instead, he stepped forward. Rolled up his sleeve. "I forgive you," he said gently, as his blood saved the woman who once tried to end his life. That moment, that choice, healed more than her body. It began the healing of two broken families. Now, we eat together sometimes, awkward laughter, long silences, but also small beginnings. As for me, I returned home, stood before my parents after over a decade. My mother cried. My father held me. No words. Just grace. Love can survive betrayal. Forgiveness can outlive pain. And from even the most broken soil, something beautiful can grow. What legacy will your love leave behind, pain or healing? True love is not just felt, it is proven in sacrifice, forgiveness, and unwavering courage. Even when life breaks us, healing begins the moment we choose truth over fear. Pain may shape our journey, but it does not have to define our ending. Family is not only who raises us, but also who chooses us again and again. In the end, the power to transform pain into purpose lies within each of us. When life tests your love, will you choose silence or truth that sets you free? The end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Hit the notification bell to stay updated. Your support means everything to us.